Hey friends and family, this is Marilyn from tarotclarity.com, and I did a review of the Rider Marseille deck recently, last day or two, put out by Artisan Tarot in collaboration with Alejandro Rozan. And I did a reading, a demonstration reading at the end of that video, and I think I said that the deck reads probably most like a Rider-Waite-Smith deck. But after I finished the video and I was just perusing the deck again on my own, it occurred to me that there may be instances with the way the deck looks, because it's a combination of the art of Rider-Waite-Smith with, the old school Tarot of Marseille, and it's possible that in some instances the art, the TDM influences in the art might influence the reading out of the realm of Rider-Waite-Smith. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but I was wondering if that was possible. So in other words, instead of reading the deck as though it really is a Rider-Waite-Smith deck, because I felt like essentially it is, but it has echoes of TDM style, right? But there might be some occasions where the TDM influence may influence the reading and take it out of the realm of Rider-Waite-Smith. I don't know if that's true or not, but I thought it would be worth it giving it a shot. So I figured I'd maybe do this video with maybe 2 or 3 sample readings, just to see how the TDM art might affect the outcome of a reading. And what's the word? Overpass, or I forget the word, bypass, like what would be a straight up TDM reading. Now, or interpretation. Now I want you to see this. If you didn't see that other video where I showcased this deck, look at that. Look at how it, and if you want to see me shuffle, is that just delightful? It's just delightful. A delightful shuffle. So anyway, I thought I'd show you that. Okay, so let me come up with a question, and I'll flip the camera, and we'll get started with our demonstration readings using the Rider Marseille by Artisan Tarot in collaboration with Alejandro Rozan. Now, I'm not one to typically ask yes or no questions of the tarot, because I try to, when somebody asks a yes or no question, I try to get them to ask a more critical thinking question. Because if you're paying me $78 and you're asking a yes or no question, the answer's going to be yes or no, and it's going to be, a fairly simple answer. You know what I'm saying? A fairly simple read. So I really want, critical thinking questions. But for this, I'm just going to say, lay one card and ask a yes or no question. So that way the expectation is yes or no. Now, when you're doing tarot and you just have a need for a yes or no question, it's helpful to have something in place whereby you understand that you can recognize what a yes or no response might be. So, for example, the recent discovery of an airplane, what appears to be an airplane on the ocean floor about 13 miles down in the vicinity where it's believed where Amelia Earhart had probably, she had been in that area. And if there's a older aircraft in the ocean, it could be hers. So the question I'm asking is that Amelia, the recent discovery of an airplane in that's been publicized as perhaps being Amelia Earhart's, is it? So I'm just going to give it one more shuffle. And we're going to look at one card and see what we can gather from the one card if we think it's positive in the affirmative or the negative. Well, the moon is a card of mystery, right? So it's possible that, it's almost like the 8-ball, outlook, was like don't ask now or come back later kind of answer, right? I forget exactly what that answer was. I have an 8-ball around here somewhere. I have more things in this room that I don't know where they ever got to. I got the I Ching that's missing, and now my 8-ball. But they're both down here. They're both in this room. So, at any rate, so what do you say? Is this a positive, an affirmative? Yes, it is. Or is it we may never know? I don't know what it will take to get somebody to go down 13 miles to I don't know if that's even possible. I'm not into scuba diving and I'm not into that kind of stuff. I mean, I know they have vehicles that can take them down kind of low, but we saw what happened on the recent excursion, right, when the thing imploded. So I don't know how likely it will ever be that someone will ever be able to go down to confirm it. So maybe it's just shrouded in mystery. I guess not all answers can be yes or no. Sometimes there's maybe, and sometimes there's not in not in the upcoming years. Maybe in 100 years they'll be able to figure that out if there's anything left. But maybe for now, it's not for us to know. Okay, let's do another yes or no reading. And sometimes I shuffle the cards upside down to prevent them from getting buckled in one direction, but it's never the last shuffle I do. It's always one of the first shuffles. If I do a couple of them like that, I just do a few that way, and then I finish it off with this way. Okay, let's ask another yes or no question. This time we'll lay 3 cards, and we'll see from the 3 cards if 1, we can get a yes or no response, and 2, if we can get any additional information. So this time we'll say, within my lifetime, and I'm 65 years old, so maybe I have 20 years, optimistically, maybe I have 20 years, and real optimistically, maybe I'll have 30. If in my lifetime, will it be discovered whether or not that airplane did indeed belong to Amelia Earhart or not? So the first card is a card of celebration. Optimistic. If we pulled this by itself and we didn't intend to pull 3 cards, I just said, yeah, it's really a good, it probably will be discovered within your lifetime. But then we have the 4 that follows it, and these cards are pretty well shuffled because I've shuffled them enough times since I've had them in order to feel that these 2 showing up together is not, because I didn't shuffle the cards. So here's doubt, perhaps, a sense of ennui, a sense of boredom. But in the context of the question, it kind of looks doubtful, whereas this one's more optimistic. Let's see what the final card is. Okay. And this looks more optimistic as well. No, I think this is the 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we have a 9, and a 3 is 12, and 12 and 4 is 16, which will give us the Tower. So let's pull the Tower as the quint card. Which I mean, we don't need to pull it to know what the quint card is suggesting, being 16. I'm sorry about this. Usually I'll pause it and just pull the card, and I guess it's here it is. So this looks like no. It won't be determined within my lifetime whether or not conclusively that it was Amelia Earhart's plane. So this is the quint card, the overall, the possible outcome card, right? Whereas these look optimistic. Maybe they'll send down many more excursions that looks like that really hold out hope and really seem as though they're onto something, right? But then this one in the middle sort of suggests, well, not so fast, it's not a done deal. It's not a conclusion. And then this card suggests that no, that it's probably not likely. That'll be conclusive. Now, one of the objectives of this video was to do a reading to see if the TDM features might, insert themselves into the reading and take it away necessarily from the realm of TDM. Now, I don't think I can do my signature spread because I think these little cards are a little bigger than, I think they're a little bit larger than an average side tarot deck. But you know what? I might not be speaking the truth. So let me pull a card and compare. Alrighty, so here's the Botticelli Tarot. I pulled it out in recent weeks thinking maybe I would do a video on this, and maybe I will. But here's the Botticelli card, which is a standard Lo Scarabeo tarot card. And let's see how it compares. Well, it's really the same height. And the Artisan deck here is just a smidge thick, wider. So maybe almost like a border width wider. So it's not that much bigger than, it just seems like it is. Not in my hand. It doesn't seem big in my hand. It just seems like, I guess because the field of art is so generous and so, big, it just seems like it is, but it's not. Okay. Let me go off camera and come up with another question. Okay, when I handled and mixed the cards, I put it out there that I was I told the universe that this was a pretend reading. It wasn't a real reading, but that I would insight as to how to answer a question like this if it was a genuine individual. And coming to ask the question, and the question is, I guess I've got a few true crime readings under my belt. Say, for example, a young lady comes to you as a reader and says, I think I'm being stalked. I have a feeling that I'm being stalked. I don't know if I'm being ridiculous or if I'm onto something, but I would just like some insight as to whether or not I'm stalked. I'm being stalked, Now, the first thing I would say is, let it be known that you feel like you're being stalked. In fact, go to law enforcement and tell your suspicions and tell everybody in your family, to get that information out there, because I don't think that's something, even if it's your imagination, I think you should put it out there. Err on the side of caution. But assuming that the person did do all that and they just want insight as to who or is there, in fact, an individual who's stalking her. Let's see what the cards have to say with 3 cards. So we have, it looks like, someone who is a stalker. So it seems like that. It does seem as though she's probably onto something, that there's somebody with ill intent. And, now the sense of loneliness or the sense of despair might be part of what this individual feels and why they have to go through something, to bother her. This might be part of his emptiness, right? Or her emptiness. But a lot of times, when a woman's being stalked, a lot of times it's a gentleman who's, no, I'm not going to say gentleman. It's a lot of times it's a male energy that's doing it. But certainly the individual, the woman who's being stalked, might feel this way, like a sense of desperation or a sense of isolation, fear. I don't know if this card would ever really be read as fear, but if you're thinking that this is coming after you and you feel kind of isolated or you feel vulnerable, it could be fear. And I said we were going to do 3 cards, so let's pull a 3rd card. And an opportunity for growth, or an opportunity for learning, or an opportunity for getting at the truth. So it seems as though I would say, yes, it does seem as though your fears are valid. It does seem as though that there is that going on, but that things might work out well, or that, if you take the precautions, you might nip this stuff in the bud. Now, I don't see, an example of where the TDM art might influence the reading above and beyond what the understanding that comes through with Rider-Waite-Smith, because these cards really are Rider-Waite. They do look more Rider-Waite-Smith. So I don't see any features of TDM overpowering the Rider-Waite-Smith message. Let's do a quint card for it. So let's have 13 and 5 would be 18. 18 and 1 would be 19, so that's the Sun card. Well, that's a positive card. So it ends on a positive card. And then the Sun card is another disc, isn't it? So let's see. I'm going to pause this and find it. Of course, this was like one of the next cards, so I didn't have to pause. When I don't pause it, it's the last card or something. Okay, so here, as the extra card, I forget what I call it. Sorry, I'm having troubles remembering words sometimes. But we see it's like a double disc. It's like 2 discs, right? 2 optimistic images. So it seems as though, yes, you probably are being stalked. I don't think it's out of question. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibilities. And your feelings are legitimate. This could be a card of validation saying, yeah, you feel isolated because it's true, you know? But that things will turn out okay, especially if you do what you can to discourage the possibility. And, you know, you can discuss all kinds of things like putting up security cameras, putting up sensor motion detectors, you know, telling law enforcement, having a buddy system in place whereby you never leave the house without buddies, et cetera, et cetera. So if you did, you know, and you know, it's unfortunate that we have to, as women, you know, put things up in place for our security, because we can't really depend on or trust everyone on the planet to be trustworthy or good. And it doesn't matter if we're women. I mean, men are vulnerable too. I mean, how often do we see senseless crimes against both genders? It's not just, you know, women. But sometimes women are more vulnerable than men. You know, like a pregnant woman would be more vulnerable. She couldn't run, for example. And so I think, you know, by and large, sometimes it seems as though women are an easier target than other fellas. Let's just do one more reading. And now, so far, I haven't seen evidence of the Marseille style influencing the reading. Okay, I came up with another one. Sometimes stalking isn't just physical, where somebody's following you or somebody's like showing up where you are, or seems to know your routine and your pattern and it is going to like show up at your house or something. But sometimes stalkers occur like online. People harass you. And I just know, you know, I'm a public channel. I'm a very small channel. I don't have hundreds of thousands of subscribers. I don't even have tens of thousands of subscribers. I just recently hit the 2,000 mark, and I'm so grateful for that. But my point being is that I'm not even a big channel, and yet I get hecklers a lot, and I've gotten threatened. You know, now I don't feel concerned. I'm like worried so much, but you know, some people, you know, might, you know, and in some cases it could be a lot worse than what I'm experiencing. I've had to, I guess at least a year, I've had to make my Instagram accounts private. And I've noticed that a lot of times people, you know, probably who watch this channel and aware that I have an Instagram and they want to follow me on Instagram. And I just want to put it out there. This is a good opportunity to say it. Is that it's just private, you know, because I've had a few examples of when my Instagram account was breached, in the sense that somebody just imitated me and said, this is, you know, Marilyn from Tarot Clarity, had all my pictures, had pictures of my babies on there, my grandchildren, and had enough of my original stuff that it concerned me that people would think it was me, because then what they would do would ask people for readings, and I'd never do that. I'd never harass anybody. I'm the kind of reader, you come to me, you know. I don't go to you. You come to me. I go to you with the tarot, but I'm going to you with information, educational purposes, right? But I'm not, you know, how many times have you seen my videos where I've said, please purchase a video from me, or please purchase my classes? In fact, most people don't even know I sell classes, you know? So, but at any rate, so for those of you who watch this channel who are frustrated because you can't get onto my Instagram account, just feel okay about it, because for the most part, I just use my Instagram for those who follow me, just to tell them that I have a video. That's it. So if you're watching the video, you already know more than what I'm putting out on Instagram. I used to do much more detailed, wonderful things on Instagram, you know, going back a number of years, but I don't do it anymore. I just now use Instagram as my, hey, if you're on my Instagram account and you want to see a video, go over, check out my video channel. So you're not missing out on anything. But at any rate, I think a lot of us have to worry about being harassed and, you know, threatened online, because it happens, and it's happened to me. So let's make this a fictitious question about somebody feeling as though they're being bullied online, and what could they do about it? Or validation that they're being stalked online, because maybe it's in their head, you know. So they want validation that they're being stalked, and also any insights we can get. So that's like a yes, no question, but with the understanding that we'll get more information if any is yielded within 3 cards. So let's check it out. So it seems like this would be a card of an impulse. So it could be they're being impulsive into thinking that maybe they're being stalked. Maybe it's just a paranoid thing or an impulsive thought, but maybe it's also true. So we don't have enough information from this card to know. Now here is a case where the TDM detail might, you know, influence this card, in the sense that he does look like he's carrying a weapon, whereas, you know, with other batons of Rider Waite Smith, it might not look so much like a weapon. But here with TDM, we're reminded that this is a cudgel and that this is a weapon. So we have a card of wisdom, of experience, of age. We could argue that there's, you know, seeking enlightenment, but I don't see confirmation of being stalked online from this card. And then the Page of Cups, my boyfriend. So I'm kind of stumped, because I'm not, maybe my question wasn't really good. It's possible my question, you know, wasn't really articulate. Sometimes if you don't ask an articulate question, you don't get an articulate answer. My intent for the question was, you know, is the individual, for a fictitious person, is the individual being stalked online? And this is the answer. So I'm not really getting a concrete answer. So it could be my lack of understanding. So let me do a quintessential card and just combine. Well, it would just be the Hermit. That would be the answer, because these two are both court cards, and I don't count those numerically. So it would just be, the Quint card would be the Hermit. So that would be the answer. So I guess you could see, I'm drawing a blank. And maybe there's just more information that has to come forward, because these two suggest that information could be coming. They could be seen as both messengers. It could be seen as impulsive behavior. On the part of either the person asking the question or the person who's actually possibly doing the work, right? The stalking online. But for this to be the Quint card, you know, here we have the star in that lantern, which is prominent. Now, isn't it interesting? Because in the Metelli deck, I'm going to go off on a little tangent. Hold on. My little tangent was going to be, in the Metelli deck, we see that the card that we most frequently associate, the image that we most frequently associate with the Hermit, really represents the Star card in the Metelli. So this is, in the Metelli deck, this is the Star card, not the Hermit. And yet in this card of the Hermit, we have a direct reference to the star, because the star is inside his lantern, which is kind of interesting. So this might be an occasion where the TDM art, even though I don't know that any of the TDM lanterns have that star in it, but cross-referencing it to the Metelli, where we have the issue of a star associated with the Hermit, I'm wondering if that detail here might influence someone to see it a little differently than they might normally see it with a Rider-Waite-Smith deck. You know, because here we might see the answer is in the electronics, or the answer is within the device that has the internet. You know, that's how I would think of it. So yeah, I guess in that light, I could see that this card might be influenced with TDM, even though this isn't per se how TDM is. It just references to me the Metelli star. You see what I'm saying? It just kind of references the Metelli star in the Hermits. That's what it made me think of. So then, yeah. So then, given that light, if it weren't for my understanding of TDM, or the Italian deck anyway, then I think, yeah, the answer is in, you know, a device. I see this as like an electronic device. So the answer is in the electronic device, and the answer would be coming. So yeah, I think I would ultimately say yes, the person's not imagining things, and that there is someone. You know, in this day and age too, we have to concern ourselves with AI, because certainly if you put material out there, especially if you put your own image out there, you have your face, you have your voice. There's all kinds of things that can happen. And, you know, I don't want to get paranoid or anything, but anyway, let's just try one more reading. And let's see, I'll try to come up with another question and put it out there. Okay, this is just a typical question that you see a lot. Has my best friend betrayed me? Just like that. If somebody suspects their best friend did something, maybe with a boyfriend, or, you know, or in business, maybe people are working together and she suspects her best friend maybe can't be trusted to do a job or something. We'll see. So just a general, is my best friend serving my best interest? How's that? Okay, we'll do 3 cards. So we have somebody who might be glomming onto her, somebody who might be glomming onto, maybe using her friend for information or for money. So the Queen card would be the Star card. So now it's going to be the last card again. Sorry. Hopefully you just don't mind perusing the deck again, because it is a nice deck. I guess I skipped it. Hold on. So this is another question that I put out there, but I didn't, go into my full meditative thing, and I didn't, this was just like kind of like lightweight kind of questioning. So, sometimes you hear the expression garbage in, garbage out, and I think this is what I'm getting, because I wasn't all in with this question. But anyway, it's just a late example of somebody coming and saying, I think my best friend is there a possibility that my best friend is betraying me in the realm of business? Okay. Or, I wasn't very specific. But at any rate, it does look as though somebody is being greedy, or that somebody is coveting something. So it's possible, like with just this card alone, I would get a sense of that. But then we have the Lovers and we have the Chariot, suggesting that, there is a bond and there is a commitment between the individuals, and that these two cards are both influenced by the Chariot. We could see this as the person's trying to get what he can or she can to move forward with herself, right? But then we have the Lover card that suggests there's a nice bond, so then you can see these two cards with maybe she's just trying to help her friend get to the next level. Maybe she's most sincere. So then we pull the third card, the Quint card, and then we get a Star card, which further suggests, sincerity and finding the way, and more optimism than a lack of optimism. And we do see a star that occurs in these images here of the icons of the pentacles, right? So we have the star repeated. Now see, this would be somebody who's maybe reading the card like a TDM reader, because maybe a Rider Smith wouldn't necessarily pick up the stars. I'm not sure. It's been a long time since I've read Rider Smith exclusively, so I don't know what I would, and I don't know if I ever really read it exclusively, to be honest. But I mean, there were times when I read Rider Smith more frequently, because on the hotlines in particular, people would be like, I want the real deck, because they thought that the Rider Smith deck was a real deck. But at any rate, I'm not sure how a Rider Smith person, a reader, would, if they would pick up on that or not. So that might be another example of how a TDM reader might pick up on different things than a Rider Smith reader would. So this might just be echoing this, and that the person is most sincerely trying to suck up as much information as they can in order to benefit their conglomeration as a whole. So then I would say, I think that your thoughts are not founded, because I think your friend is just trying to learn as much as she can to advance your commitment to one another. And then the echoing of this star with this star kind of brings this back to here. And that is, she's being, truthful and honest and trustworthy. And I think that's how I would interpret that. Anyway, I probably won't be doing another reading. I'll try. I mean, not another reading. I'll try to do more videos, but this weekend, no, I don't have my grandson here anymore. He went home. But now I'm going to have my granddaughter all weekend, one of my granddaughters, and I still have my sister. So I'm not going to have a whole lot of free time. So if I am able to do readings, or videos, it will be in the evening. And I'll try to do those, but sometimes I'm so tired at night, I'm just not able. So we'll see. But thank you for being here, and until next time, friends, peace and stay well.